On May 11, 1945, the Essex Class U.S. aircraft carrier USS Bunker Hill was struck by two Japanese Kamikaze suicide aircraft during the battle for Okinawa. In spite of severe damage and 346 fatalities, the Bunker Hill was not lost, as were none of the 24 Essex Class carriers built during World War II. Digging deeper, we find that it became apparent early in the Pacific theater of the war that the battleship no longer reigned supreme, and it was the aircraft carrier that would take up the mantle as a Navy's capital ship. Seeing an extreme need for many carrier groups, the United States went on an aircraft carrier building binge, ordering 32 ships of the Essex class. These large fleet carriers came in two varieties, the long 888 feet OA length and the short 870 feet OA length. As the war began to wind down, 6 of the ships ordered were canceled, and the construction of 2 others was stopped. Only 93 feet wide, these ships lacked the characteristic angled flight deck seen on modern aircraft carriers, a concession necessary so that they would be able to fit through the locks of the Panama Canal, an important consideration for the United States Navy since this was the way it shuttled ships back and forth between the two oceans. Still, the ships were fast at 32.7 knots and had an astounding 20,000 nautical mile range. With a crew of about 3,000 sailors and airmen, the capacity to carry 90 to 100 aircraft, and bristling with massive anti-aircraft armaments, 12 5-inch guns, 32 to 72 40mm cannons, and 55 to 76 20mm cannons. These Leviathans could take the fight to any enemy in the world and defend themselves as well. A normal 90 aircraft load would consist of 36 Grumman Hellcat fighters, 36 Curtiss Helldiver dive bombers, and 18 Grumman Avenger torpedo bombers. Some ships later carried F-4U Corsair fighters. Displacing only about 36,000 tons when loaded, the Essex class lacked the heavy armor of a battleship, as this protection had been traded for speed, range, and capacity. Although the lack of armor resulted in heavy damage at times, the fact that every Essex-class ship survived every battle vindicates the designer's compromises. After World War II, the remaining Essex-class ships were modernized, with angled flight decks and apparatus for launching and recovering jet aircraft. The Boxer, the Princeton, and the Valley Forge were left unconverted, retaining their straight flight decks and instead modified for use as helicopter amphibious assault ships and for carrying U.S. Marines. These served until 1970 when they were replaced by purpose-built amphibious helicopter carriers. 11 Essex-class ships served in the Korean War and 13 in the Vietnam War. Some of them even served as recovery vessels for early space flights. Certainly the most prolific class of capital ships ever built, the last Essex-class carrier stayed in service until 1991, well into the modern era of nuclear-powered gigantic angled deck carriers. Today, 4 of the old girls remain as museum ships: the Lexington in Corpus Christi, the Intrepid in New York City, the Hornet in Alameda, and the Yorktown in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. It is hard to imagine anyone proposing another class of capital ships as history's greatest, but someone likely will. As a question for my students and subscribers, please feel free to nominate a class of ships you think are greater or more important to history than the Essex class in the comments section below this video. We will stick with these classics. If you like this video and would like to receive notification of new videos, please feel welcome to subscribe to History and Headlines and become one of our patrons. Your viewership is much appreciated.